Okay, so today Spirit was talking to me about what else I would like to do. What I think might be impossible, but it's actually possible. And I was like, well, it'd be really cool to fly. And they were like, okay, now how would you do that? And I started thinking about elements, and they were telling me that I'm air element, and I was like, hmm. And then I was thinking about dynamics of energies and the mixing of energies. They kept telling me to create new dynamics by feeling the energy around you. And they were like, okay, well, go with that. Go with the elements. Try to remember how you're connected to this planet and everything in it. And I was like, okay. And they were like, remember when we took you on a walk outside and we told you to stop and feel the energy as soon as you felt something like really excited or really uncomfortable, or like, how not wanting to walk in the woods at night because it's dark, or you like, this more, or this. I mean, even in one of my other videos I talked about the sun, and I was like, oh, it's too harsh. But then they were saying that we were doing that so that you could sit there, let the energy go through you, so that all the other cells in there could pick up on that energy and be like, okay, cool, I recognize this. It's not foreign anymore. It's moving through me, and I can accept this now. And then it just gets stronger over time. Kind of like if a virus, I mean, how we come up with, what are those shots called? Vaccines. When we come up with like vaccines, it's to just remind your cells that there's a possibility of this frequency coming in here, and so they get used to that frequency, so that whenever, if that were to happen, then they would be like, okay, cool, you're not a foreign body, so we won't kick you out. We can just accept your little frequency and we can keep moving through each other. So then I was thinking about the elements, and they're like, okay, go with that. Now, what do you know about fire? And I was like, I thought of a volcano. But then I was like, I remember in psychology learning about temperature and how the central nervous system reacts to temperature. And in all actuality, our bodies cannot distinguish the difference between hot and cold. It just feels the way that it does because it's an extreme temperature. So it just reacts as being hot or cold. But in reality, the frequency is actually the same. So they were like, okay, now how would you let that in? And I'm like, I don't know, I guess I could imagine what it's like being next to a volcano. And they're like, okay, well, think of something that you can experience every day that's really, really hot sometimes, that sometimes you don't feel very comfortable around. I'm like, oh, the sun. They're like, okay, run with that. So I'm like, because lately I've been thinking about how we tend to think that some things are bad or some things are good, and I think it's because we feel separated by some things, because actually I'm not even really sure why we feel that way, but I think that maybe we tend to repel it because maybe it's been a long time since we accepted that kind of powerful energy. So they were like, okay. And then I was like, all right, so I get that. So that means that I have to be in the sun more. I need to accept those sun rays, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with the sun and its radiation, because I mean, radiation comes from nuclear power, and we have nucleuses in all of our cells, so that's a little nuclear power plant, and we're all filled with them. So really, we're just accepting the same stuff that we're already made of. This is just one scale, and all the same scales are inside of us. So I was like, wow, that makes total sense. So what we need to do is let these elements into our, we need to accept the elements instead of, sheathing ourselves and saying, I'm uncomfortable. It's the same thing as feeling an emotion, that makes you feel uncomfortable. Like, yeah, it's a little uncomfortable, but it's because maybe we have been shutting it out for so long that now it feels so foreign. It's like uncomfortable. Um, and that made me think of being scared and then being excited. Um, when I was a kid, I used to experience a lot of scaredness, but also a lot of excitedness. And I always kind of wondered, because they came from the same place and it felt the same, but a little bit different. It was like if I was in class and I wasn't really paying attention and the teacher said something to me, I would hear my name and I would get that alert. It's like the fight or flight response, right? It would just like explode right here, and I'd feel, that moment where you breathe in and you kind of panic a little bit. But then I also likened it to like my first kiss or something like that, and it's or like even the first kiss and then the anticipation beforehand, and then thinking about the moment afterwards. It's like I would feel this, that explosion in your solar plexus. It's like right here, and it kind of feels like something secretes out of there. Maybe that's like, maybe your heart is actually a giant secretory gland. I mean, yeah, well, secretory granule. I don't know, but I always feel that first, and it's like explosion, and you feel so amped up, and you're just like, oh, so excited about it. Or if there's something that you really like to do, and you're about to go do that, or something pops up where they ask you if you want to go do that, you get like super excited about it. Or like when you miss somebody and you're about to see them and you get all amped up. Yeah, that feeling. I don't know why we ever separated it as being fear or being is super excited, because in all actuality it seems like the same thing. So maybe it's like we just gotta, I don't know, we have to like let the energy move through us, because it's obviously very, very powerful energy. Especially, well, I mean, they're both the same, really, fear and that. It's like so amped up. It's like love and hate. It's a very, very emotionally charged feeling. But it's like, if you're neutral about it, then it's not really passion exactly. Or it's just, you're just in a still moment, like meditation. So it's like, even when somebody says they hate something, they're actually very, very emotionally charged about it, which means there's a strong attraction to that for some reason. I guess it's kind of like working through it, because I know a lot of people that I didn't really like that much when I was younger. It was like, you feel repelled by them, like you don't like them, but then you actually end up realizing that you're like best friends or something. Because you're so much alike. Maybe that's what it is. Or the energies are like polar opposites, so it like mixes so powerfully or something, yeah, so they said the more you introduce your body to the elements and allow that feeling to go through you, the more you'll realize that cold and hot are really just a frequency that's moving through you, and by rejecting it, you're sort of not totally in tune with your environment. And that's like a very basic ancient, it seems like ancient knowledge, like something that was always, So I really want to look more into that and try more with that. And I'm kind of wondering if that's where the Adam and Eve thing came from, where they started putting clothes on. Maybe they felt the polar energies, or maybe, I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of scientific stuff in there, and this seems like that fits pretty well with that. So I mean, eventually we'll get to the point where we can just be naked and stuff, maybe. But I mean, for now, I think if we just work on that, accepting things more, because it's all part of us. I think we would pick up on each other a lot easier, and we could really communicate, and we could, let the energy flow through us in different geographical locations, and then maybe we can actually filter all of that energy that seems overpowering, and maybe the earth wouldn't, be reacting the way it is. Maybe it would feel like it's being listened to, because maybe that's the same thing. Maybe it's just the earth talking to us and we're not listening, so it just seems like more foreign, so it seems more polar opposite. But if we just listen and let it feel like flow through us, and the same thing with people, instead of just rejecting something that feels uncomfortable and just allowing it to go through us, we can connect with people as well. So that was something that I hit on just a few minutes ago, and it was after I was dancing around outside, and I realized how good that I felt, and then that's when I started thinking about frequencies and my world around me. And then they sorry, I'm so excited. Then they chimed in about flying, and then they associated it with that. And it's like learning through experiencing yourself and your environment. I mean, we can make it's like once I get that piece of information of just exploring my environment and having fun, I realize that this is where all our science can actually integrate, because it's really the same thing. That, you know, because everything that I can figure out by just playing around with like the environment and how I feel about it, I'm realizing more and more that the stuff that science is speaking about and ancient texts and all that is really, I mean, that's probably how they figured it out. They probably just experienced their environment. So yeah, I think this is pretty cool. So I'm gonna keep working with that. So yeah, I'll let you know the next time, you know, I figure something out. Maybe I can figure out more about this whole meshing with the blending with the energies, so that you can move throughout the energies, you know, and that'd be really cool. Okay, thank you for watching.